This is a story that starts with an effort to get hipsters healthy, but ends in fraud. Hey everyone, Mad Lion here. Quick question. How many of you have seen this? This, my friends, is a Hypnosis Mic step counter produced by Tanita, right here, which is a major Japanese company that makes medical measurement devices and promotes healthy living in general. And this is the story of a brief, shining, hilarious, and yet tragic moment when Hypnosis Mic and Tanita decided to work together to make the Hip Mic fandom walk a lot. And walk we did. And then, it all went to hell. The year was 2018 and Hypnosis microphone mania was in full swing. I mean, full swing. It was like when any other instant hit 2D franchise first comes out. You know, everyone is screaming, everyone has a favorite, everyone has a take, there's fan art and fanfic and cosplay photos flying everywhere, and like even the smallest little tweet or leak from the official set, all of Twitter on fire for at least 3 days. And the merch! This was the time when Hip Mic was making literally everything, from like inflatable couches to ice cream spoons. And amongst all of that merch was this. Oh, but this was not just a piece of merchandise. This was a whole event, a whole fandom event. This was the Hypnosis Microphone Walking Battle. In this event, there were going to be multiple walking battles, and each battle would have multiple rounds of walking to decide first, second, third, and fourth place for the existing 4 divisions. Fortunately, I'll let you guys decide. Osaka and Nagoya didn't exist at the time, so they never got to take part in this. Hip Mic and Tanita put in a lot of effort into hyping up this walking event and making sure we were all super excited about it. To begin, obviously, they sold the step counters, which at the time retailed for 5,940 yen, tax included. Each of the 4 divisions had their own step counter, and by purchasing a division step counter, you were pledging your loyalty to that division's team for the upcoming walking battle. You had to pick a division, or if you wanted, by any chance, to support more than one division, you had to buy more than one step counter. By buying this Matenro step counter, I basically sold my soul to Matenro for this walking battle. Depending on which division you bought, you also got a set of 3 battle badges. If you bought Buster Bros or MTC, you got this set of 3. And if you bought Fling Posse or Matenro, you got this set of 3. And now I finally remember where I got this Ramujaku battle badge from. Along with the step counters, there was the marketing campaign. To start, we got articles about the walking battle in Fandom magazines. We had one interview with a guy from Tanita who revealed he was fascinated by dice. His interview was like, how on earth can he be 177 centimeters tall and weigh 77 kilos and also be that pumped? Like, dude must work out. Is his body fat percentage 7%? Please say it is. And we also had questions to some of the voice actors about whether or not they like walking, which led to some fun stories from these 3 guys. Did you know that Asanuma cannot read maps? Komada likes to go walking around, just wandering around at night in the dark. And Hayami used to run around in the mountains and pretend he was an ascetic monk when he was a kid. Hayami was a Kuko fan before Kuko was even a main character. And of course, the Twitter account for Tanita HealthLink, the subsidiary in charge of this whole thing, was just lighting up with tweets about the step counter, how to use it, and oh, how someone clocked over 7,000 steps at a 3rd live viewing with Fling Posse. Jealous. Or how someone ran a full marathon in 3 hours and 44 minutes with Mad Trigger Crew in their pocket. That's just respect. And of course, there was merch. Merch of the MCs in little jogging suits based on their outfits, like you can see here. Merch that was highly exclusive because you could only get it from the Tanita Cafe in, get this, Niigata Prefecture, which is pretty remote and surrounded by mountains. Stay tuned for that drama, cause this is gonna get wild. Okay, so we're ready to go. We've got our step counters, we've been hyped up. It's time for the first walking battle. Now we are going to The first round of walking was wild. Here's a screenshot of my ranking on the first day where I was in 1,265th place. The people in first place were somehow logging tens of thousands of steps every single day. Honestly, there is no way all of these people were actually walking that much. I bet some of them were just, tying their step counters to their pet dog's collar and letting the dog run around or something. But, we got rankings, we got step rankings, and we didn't just get rewarded with rankings, we got rewarded with lines of encouragement from the division members we walked for, some of which got really, really wacky. Some of the more normal lines came from Hifumi, like this one, where he's impressed by how much you've walked so far, or this one, where he says he'll cheer you on even louder to help keep your motivation up. Oh, and this one's cute. He's telling you to hurry up and come over to his place because the meal he prepared for you is going to get cold. He cooked for you! What a sweetheart! Jakurai was just totally on brand. In this line, he says you're fascinating for walking this much just for him. In fact, he calls you fascinating twice because you just keep walking even though you shouldn't be pushing yourself too hard. What is your motivation? Oh, and in this line, he's checking your blood pressure and your pulse, and hey, everything's normal. Oh, and of course, he reminds you to take breaks if you're tired. Thanks, Ildoc. Dopo, on the other hand, oh gosh, Dopo. He congratulates you for achieving your step count goals using the Japanese word for sales quota, which is, yeah, that's pretty on par for Dopo. Then we get this line where he asks you why on earth you would want to walk near a bottom feeder like him. Nothing good will come of it. It's so sad. But then he goes full on yandere with this one. You're so bright, the bright light that shines on my small dark world, but never forget that shining light of yours can kill a man. Let's look at some other divisions. Here's you bribing Dice to walk with you by giving him some super popular melon bread. This man will do anything for food, especially if it's junk food. Ramura, in some lines, he's a sweetheart. In this one, he shares some of his life-giving candy to give you a second wind. Wow, Ramura, thanks for your sacrifice. But then he just does a 180. So that failed. So he flip-flops, and now he just can't be bothered to wait for you while you're falling behind, so bye. Like, what a gremlin, right? Gentaro also gets a little weird by telling you to stop overthinking this whole thing because everything in this world is really quite meaningless. It's like he's channeling Oscar Wilde here. But he's happy that you've walked all this way over to see him. How about our Yokohama walkers? Well, here's Rio offering to carry you on his back if you get tired. Just say the word. He'll do it anytime. Here's another Rio, this time offering to cook for you if you're so famished you can't move anymore. Honestly, I think that would get me running, not just walking. Here's Juto threatening to arrest you if you slack off. Oh! Here's Samatoki-sama introducing himself because he really wants to make sure you know who he is even while you're walking. By the way, don't disappoint him. That's literally all this says. While Rio is basically happy to help whenever, like he's your dude, he's got your back, these two basically follow the philosophy of the beatings will continue until morality improves. And the bros! Oh, the bros! Ichiro is actually kinda scary. In this line, he warns you not to let him down or literally betray his expectations. And in this line, he tells you that if you want to be a quitter, go ahead and quit. That's all you'll ever be. But then in other lines, he'll praise you or tell you not to push yourself too hard. So Ichini, we need to have a talk about how you approach people. Jiro is basically a sweetheart. In this line, he's running to catch up with you because he made you wait to start walking. And Saburo is classic Sabs, calling you dumb because you can't even reach a step goal you set for yourself. It does seem like there was a connection between the number of steps you walked and the lines that you got. When you had higher numbers, you got praise, and when you did nothing, you got yelled at. But I also have a few screenshots of Hifumi telling me I did a good job when I didn't log any steps at all, so I don't know, maybe the algorithm was off. Or maybe Hifumi is just that stupidly positive. It's probably Hifumi, honestly. In the end, Buster Bros won the first round of the walking battle quite easily. I think it was the first time Buster Bros won anything, actually, so great, good for them, good job, boys. But we have a few more rounds of this, so round 2. There were 3 more rounds of walking, and honestly, this is where the story gets boring because, as with many long-running events, people just started to lose interest. Participation in the walking battles dropped with every single round, and we didn't get any new lines from the MCs or new reward content to mix things up. Not to mention that iOS users had to go to a specific chain of convenience store to log their steps, since the step-counting app was only available for Android, which added an extra layer of this is getting kinda painful for iPhone users. In the end, the Buster Bros won every single walking battle round. And there were 4 rounds. In fact, the rankings were the same every single time. Buster Bros always took first, Fling Posse always took second, Mad Trigger Crew always took third, and Matenro always took fourth. So yeah, it got kinda boring. The real end to all of this, well, actually, the walking battle wasn't supposed to end. There was supposed to be a break between Battle 1 and Battle 2, but Battle 2 never came. Remember that merch I talked about and how exclusive it was? 3 key factors created the perfect storm to take this whole thing down. First, in order to get this merch, you needed to go to the Tanita Cafe in Nagaoka, Niigata, which is not an easy place to get to. There were actually people on Twitter offering shopping services for this merch, probably with a bit of markup. And if you were a collector because it's so rare, you wanted this stuff. Second, as with all merch, there were random pulls involved, and at this cafe, there was something called a secret badge amongst the pin badges. The rarest pin badge of them all, one for every 20 to 40 normal badges, a gold division logo amongst the character illustrations. Now remember, this is 2018, Hypnosis Mic hype is at its absolute peak, and people want these things. They want them, and they are willing to pay ridiculous amounts of money for them, even if they can't get them on a random pull. Oh, and Mercari? Mercari exists. Third, let's go back to the very beginning of this video where I mentioned that Tanita makes medical measurement devices. That, of course, involves scales. And this is a healthy eating cafe where there will be plenty of scales to measure things and not always food. Some of the staff at the Tanita Cafe in Niigata, who were very much not Hypnosis fans, realized these 3 things. They realized this merch is in high demand, especially those secret badges. They realized people will pay insane amounts of money for these secret badges. And those secret badges weighed slightly more than the normal badges. So the Tanita Cafe staff turned to crime. Patrons at the cafe witnessed cafe staff going through the random pull badges, weighing them when they thought no one was looking, and removing any of the badges that were slightly heavier than the others. This meant that the cafe staff were taking all of the secret badges from the box, leaving only the normal ones for patrons, and reselling those secret badges for ridiculous prices on Mercari. And it was obvious the people selling didn't know a thing about Hypnosis because they had no other Hypnosis merch sales and they were posting listings for Master Bros instead of Buster Bros. Master Bros! The fans, of course, were incredibly upset, took this all to Twitter, and one fan specifically pointed out the likelihood that this was all being done by the Tanita Cafe staff in this weird kind of merch-stealing crime ring. The fandom was in flames, and eventually the official Tanita HealthLink Twitter, this is the one that ran that full marathon for this event, tweeted that they were going to go to Nagaoka that day to look into things. This actually got a positive response from the fandom, like someone even wrote a rap to cheer them on. Now, unfortunately, that positivity didn't last because once Tanita confirmed yes, it was their cafe staff cheating honest fans out of random merch to resell for their own profit, the story blew up. Imagine my surprise when I was at home, drinking a beer, watching the national news, the all over Japan news, and oh, it's Hypnosis. Hypnosis on the news. Oh, it's about the walking battle. Oh, hey, it's about the cafe. It's, oh. Tanita ended up having to issue an apology and deal with this whole mess that had come out of the entire thing. and then they went quiet. And after they went quiet, people started to forget about the issue and move on, until suddenly Tanita came back and announced that the second walking battle, the one that was planned for April 2019, was cancelled because of the cafe drama. Anyone who purchased a step counter specifically for the second walking battle could get a refund. No decisions had been made on the future of the walking battle, and that was the last anyone ever heard from Tanita about this collab. The Hyp Mic walking battle faded into memory, and Hyp Mic and Tanita went their separate ways. You can still find those special badges on Mercari for exorbitant amounts of money, but the step counters themselves and the remaining merch are floating around for resale at pretty normal prices. I don't know if anyone in Hyp Mic fandom aside from me talks about the walking battle anymore, honestly, or if the majority of the people who participated are even still in the Hyp Mic fandom. But for me personally, this was actually a really fun part of the early Hypnosis Mic experience. I got to walk around with my Tenro in my pocket, I got to hunt for those MC lines on Twitter, I got to compare step counts with others, and I actually lost a few kilos in the process. I feel like the walking battle would have ended eventually due to, just a lack of interest over time, but it's really a shame that it had to go out with, a quiet apology rather than the glorious final ending it deserved. So now you know all there is to know about the Hypnosis Mic walking battle, and I think I'm gonna go take my Tenro out for a walk in memory of what was and what could have been. Just gotta, replace the battery. As always, thanks for watching, and see you next time. And until next time comes, feel free to stick around and watch a few more videos like the one that just popped up on the screen here. Bye!